Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Fantasy Tip Show. Game Week 13 and Game Week 14 preview. The games are coming very, very thick and fast. So we have to do these shows like double ups and stuff like that. That's not the only double up you're gonna hear today. There've been a lot of Southampton double ups. So I have the FPL graduates back with me to preview Game Week 13 and Game Week 14. Ben, Josh, how are you?
Yeah, good. Good to be back on round 2 of recording today. Let's hope it works out a bit better.
Let's hope, yeah. No problem, and thank you guys for coming on. So, like we did in the stream, first of all, you have to do a review of Game Week 12. It was a terrible one for me, so I think it's good to start this time around with the highest point scorer. Ben, let's start with the team first, just to cheer us up a bit.
Oh, yes. We'll get into this. I've enjoyed looking at this team and talking about this team. And, McCarthy and Walker-Peters, let's start with them. The double up in Southampton, it was a risk that I was willing to take there. And it prevailed with the clean sheet that they gained. They looked very, very solid defensively against a really poor attacking side in Sheffield United. Across the back line, it was a similar story. Cresswell, he conceded but got a peach of an assist from that free kick. And James Justin, well, what a hero he was. Getting the assist for Jamie Vardy. Absolute limbs in the FPL Graduate HQ when that went in, because I know Josh has Vardy. And Captain Salah, jammy pick of the week. And you just love to see it. You really do. It's like Captain and Bruno Fernandes every week. But the Salah jammy penalty will take them ones all day. And a jammy bonus point on top of that. It's just, you just love to see a bit of jam on there. Son, 5-pointer. You know what? I'll take it. It's not too bad. He's still at least returned. And Mahrez and Fernandes, I wasn't expecting many returns. So I'll take 6 points from them two players from a scrappy derby game. Podence with a 2-pointer. I wasn't expecting too much from him anyway. Calvert-Lewin and Kane just doing what they do best and ticking over with constant points for me to give a grand total of 71. Another great game week, and a game week that's taken me from 1.1 million to 800k overall ranking.
Yeah, what's the lowest you've been this season in terms of rankings?
I don't think I've been below 2 million. I don't think. I think I was like 1.8 million at one point, which is the low, which is like the worst rank I've been at. And 800k, you know what? It's getting better. It's getting there. Still not where I want to be, but we'll keep moving through these game weeks as they're coming thick and fast and just trying to climb up as high as we can over this busy schedule.
And last question on that, because you mentioned Justin and Vardy and you guys being happy about it. Let me ask, if you have Matip in your team and there's like 4% owned, and Salah is like 70% owned and you don't own Salah, and then Matip assists Salah, would you be happy about that? Matip giving you points, or would you be like, nah, I didn't want Salah to score either way?
Well, if you don't own Salah, you don't ideally want him to score. But if a defender like that's so low owned and you've got him in your team, then he's going to give off more points, especially if he gets a clean sheet. Having an assist for a defender gives more chance of them getting a higher bonus points as well. So you can't really be too disheartened if something like that happens for your team. Having a defender getting an attacking return is always a great bonus to have.
Awesome. So 71 points. Josh, your next 51 points.
Yeah, just the average week for me, to be honest. 51 points. I took a -8 going into it. I brought in Son, Giroud, and who else did I bring in? The one. So I brought in those three. Son for the captaincy, because I didn't have faith in Mane, and that obviously prevailed when he didn't return. Should have probably captained Vardy with his 13-pointer. If I did, that's a big week. And obviously Bednarek on the bench isn't great either, but I would have dropped Cresswell. So wins and losses, it's how it goes. You can't get them all right at the end of the day. So yeah, I'll take it for a solid week. My overall rank is around like the 2.8, 2.9. Very, very bad, especially for like my standards that I like put myself for. But I think my team now is looking a lot better. So going forward, I'm looking to climb up those ranks pretty quickly.
Awesome. I wanted to ask you, what was your target for this week when you started? Did you like 160 points, 70?
Yeah, for both of these week and these 2 game weeks, it's probably going to be looking around 140 to 150 points for me personally. I know that's quite big in terms of like 70 points for 2 weeks straight, but I think that's what my team needs to do. And if I'm looking to break into top 100k like I was last year, I think that's what I need to do. I need to get my shifts together and start pulling out some big performances. Hence why I've got the big boys needed this week, like De Bruyne and Bruno. You know, your Son, your Vardy. I've got a lot of big hitters there, and if they do return, they could potentially return massively.
Awesome. And I guess the next team is mine. For me, it's another terrible week. I think the last 4 weeks, it's just the captaincy decisions that have cost me. On the bench, obviously, James Rodriguez was to start for me this week. We heard about his news, I think it was on Friday or something, and I already made my sub, so that was a blow. He was to start for me against Chelsea, so I was forced to bring in Lewis. I knew he was not going to return anything against West Brom. I thought West Brom would score, so that was kind of a downer. Target on the bench as usual for me when he's delivering is always on my bench. Torres, I put him as the last sub because I knew Pep was going to rotate him for this week, so that was kind of a risk. But obviously against United, didn't really expect much. McCarthy and Vestergaard double up. First time ever I'm doubling up on a defense return. Sheffield never looked like they would score in that game. Vestergaard could have had 2 or 3 goals in that game. Ailing, Leeds, I don't know. Every time, I think clean sheets for Leeds is kind of very, very hard for them. Bellerin, obviously, the clean sheet went in the 75th minute and you were subbed out to make things even worse. I wish you would have been subbed off before that. Son and Kane really missed them in my free hit team the previous week. Good to have them back. Kane can literally score from anywhere, and it's always Son assisting him. Aubameyang captaincy, he scored, but he didn't score in the correct goalpost. So it was a terrible week for me. The difference, if I was just like Captain Kane instead of Aubameyang, could have been like 47 or something. So captaincy decisions are very, very important as of now. So that was my team. And the next topic is the FPL Focus on Southampton. As you can see, Josh had Benaric on his bench. Ben had Walker, Peters, and McCarthy, and I had McCarthy and Vestergaard. So then I'll start with you. Shea Adams scored again this week. Is he a must-have if you're playing your World Cup today?
I think he definitely is. I think for value for money, he is the best striker in FPL to get at the moment. I think he's more reliable than the other options around him. He's looking like the main man since Danny Ings went out, and he's really come leaps and bounds forward. And now Ings is back, he's only going to get better, and he's only going to get more returns with him and the team. And the Southampton team, all across the board, I think we can find really good value, and possibly the best value for money in the whole team is Shea Adams.
Josh, how about you?
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's the most valuable striker at that price point. I think Patrick Bamford gives him a run for his money with the amount of chances he gets. But definitely a great option. Someone who I'm definitely looking at as well. I think he's just so cheap, and he's probably just as good as Danny Ings. They're both on the same amount of total points this season. I know Ings has been out for a little bit, but still a good factor to bear with, considering last season Danny Ings almost ran away with it. Whether he's best value for money in the team, I'm not so certain. I think those defenders are just unreal value for money. Obviously, they're the cheapest playing price point in the game. So I think for the defenders, for me, they're way better. But Shea Adams is a great pick, don't get me wrong.
So would you get him in your today?
Yeah, I would, personally.
Ben?
Yeah, can't argue with it.
Awesome. The next one is James Ward-Prowse, spectacular from free kicks. It's like a penalty to him. So Josh, I'll start with you. How essential is James Ward-Prowse?
I say relatively. You have to look at him due to how many points he's scored this season, to be honest. He's deadly from a set piece. It's just, for me, he's quite expensive. I like my defenders who take set pieces, like, for example, Aaron Cresswell, me and Ben both have him. I like them because they obviously have the potential of getting clean sheet points, whereas a midfielder only gets that 1 point if they get a clean sheet, so it's not as big of a thrill. So it's interesting. Yeah. He's quite expensive for me personally. I'm not sure around that price point, there is not many better. Don't get me wrong, but I personally wouldn't have around a 6 million midfielder. I think 7.5 is like the minimum I go for. That midfield's so stacked with the likes of Bruno, Salah, De Bruyne, you name it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he personally fits into my team. Shea Adams is more someone who'd fit into my team due to the 6 million strikers is almost what you fill your strikers up with. After having quite a stacked midfield is what my team lies at in a minute. So yeah, but it definitely, if you have that in your team, like a 6-ish million midfielder, he has to be the one you go for without a doubt.
Ben?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Josh there. I think it very much depends on what sort of template you're running with in your FPL team. I think if you've got a lot of big hitters and someone like Jack Grealish, then he's probably not going to fit into your team. But if you do have to have that sort of £6 million option, that it's kind of awkward price point, then James Ward-Prowse has to be the one that you get in. Like you said earlier, his free kicks are like penalties and his corners are exceptional. For the sixth highest point scorer out of all midfielders in FPL, I mean, you wouldn't have said that at the start of the season. And I think he's a lot of people are not quite jumping on him because of the position that he plays in that Southampton team. And I can see why they haven't got him in, but at that sort of price point and the points you're getting for value for money, then it should be someone you're looking to get in. But obviously, there are a lot of other options around up front and in defence, and you might be hesitant into going into like a double or maybe even triple up on a Southampton option.
Yeah. Apart from his set pieces, do you think he's a good player?
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. Me and Josh agree. Like, he's probably the best set piece taker in the league at the moment, and maybe even there's an argument for him to be up there in terms of European stature. He's that good at set pieces and deliveries, and it helps a lot that he has really tall and good defenders in the air to get on the end of everything that he delivers as well, because that makes everything so much easier for him to get assists and goals.
Josh, do you think he's a good player?
Yeah, definitely. I think he's solid. He's just not like the FPL midfielder that you'd go for traditionally, like a more attacking one. I think like he's more of a box to box kind of guy in the system that Southampton run, maybe even more of a defensive player. But it is literally pretty much your set pieces that you're bringing him in for. If he gets no set piece, he's not really going to return. But because he is so deadly, that's what people are bringing him in for.
Awesome. The third one is going to be Danny Ings. Ben, Danny Ings is back scoring a penalty already. Is he a must own now?
Well, it depends. It depends, really, doesn't it? I'd almost argue that Shea Adams is probably a better option to go for at this point, because they're both on 60 points for the season, and having the same points as each other with a 2 million difference in price. I mean, you surely have to go for Shea Adams instead of Ings. But Ings, we know what he's like from last season. He's so prolific. He will always get a goal, an assist, whatever it may be. He's always going to return. And he's one of them ones like DCL almost is this season. He's really, really reliable in attacking returns when he's playing. You just got to hope that he stays injury free at this point.
Josh?
Yeah, totally along the same lines as Ben. For me, he's very good. It's just compared, there's other options. He's just a little bit too expensive. Like, he's on the same price as DCL, a little bit more expensive than him. He'll probably give you the same, if not better, output than DCL, in my opinion. I think DCL will come to an end at some stage. Obviously, he's prolonging it currently, getting the assist against Chelsea, etc. People didn't think he'd return. He was one of the most transferred out players that week. But Danny Ings, he always scores. He's on penalties as well, which is a big factor. So you have to bear that in mind. I know James Ward-Prowse sometimes takes penalties too, but it's usually Danny Ings. So when Danny's fit, he's definitely someone you need to have in your team.
Okay, so Ben, if you're playing your wildcard today, anyone who's playing your wildcard, get Danny Ings, yes or no?
I'd probably get Shea Adams instead and spend the extra 2 million somewhere else in the team.
Okay, so the next one is Vestergaard. I bought him this week and I really enjoyed owning him. Josh, is he a good option?
Yeah, for me, he's probably the best out of the Southampton defenders. If you could cherry pick one, I would probably choose him. He's just so lethal in the air. Obviously, he gets the same clean sheet bonus as the other boys. He's a bonus point magnet. He loves a bonus point as well. So, yeah, he's probably the best option for me out of the Southampton defenders if you're just going for any of them. I do know he's like the most expensive other than Bertrand, but Bertrand's not really in this conversation. So, for him, I think he's probably worth the extra 0.1, 0.2 if you're going for a Southampton defender.
I agree. Ben?
Yeah, I mean, Vestergaard is a great option to have. He's so commanding in the air. He gets goals. He really is a big threat. And we've seen this season, he's got so many points from clean sheets and then getting goals, getting on the end of everything. And when you have someone who's delivering the ball in like James Ward-Prowse does, then it's surely a must-have to have someone like that in your FPL team.
Awesome. The last one, differential, Theo Walcott. Ben, I'll start with you. Theo Walcott, I saw someone in the mini league with Theo Walcott and I was like, why? Would you try and have a punt on him?
What I'd do with Theo Walcott is he wouldn't, if you're going to have him in your team, it's not going to be a long-term sort of player. You're going to want to bring him in as like a differential punt maybe 1 week. If you have that spare transfer that you don't know where to use, you want to get rid of a player and just have a 1 week punt on someone like Theo Walcott. If he's got a nice fixture, then I'd say that is worth doing. But you've got to bear in mind that they do have a lot of options in that area. They've got the likes of Armstrong, they've got Gineppo, they've got attacking players coming back in like Danny Ings, who may force Walcott to play a little bit deeper than he has done in recent weeks. So that's something you've got to be aware of. I personally wouldn't have him in for the long term as a stable plan and a staple player in your team, but maybe it is an option just having a 1 week punt. You know what? If it doesn't work out, you can just transfer him straight out the next week. So that's how I feel about Walcott.
Josh, I mean, Walcott will definitely get rotated soon, right?
Yeah, definitely within this like tricky run of fixtures. Obviously, he gets game after game after game. He won't play every 90 minutes. He just doesn't have the fitness level to do that, I don't think, at his age. And I also think for the price you're paying for him, there are probably better assets elsewhere. And you can probably get better Southampton assets in. We're talking about maybe tripling up on Southampton, especially if you have McCarthy. Like, he's a set and forget almost at this stage. If you get a defender, you get Shea Adams. There's obviously not going to be any room for a Theo Walcott punt or anything like what Ben was saying. So, yeah, I think Ademola Lookman is a better option at Fulham. I think for the little bit extra you can pay, Jarrod Bowen's also a better option at West Ham. So there are better players around that price point. Souček as well. Than Walcott. So, yeah, don't waste your money, in my opinion, on Walcott.
Okay, and Ben, last question. How many Southampton players would you get if you're playing your wildcard today?
I mean, there's already 2 Southampton players in my team. So I've already got McCarthy and Kyle Walker-Peters. So I'd probably end up with a triple up on Southampton, you know. They're playing really well. And I think I'd probably end up bringing in Shea Adams as my third player. Yeah, that's nothing more you can really say other than that they do provide absolutely fantastic FPL value all over the pitch.
Josh, how many Southampton players?
I'd have to say 3 as well. Definitely, obviously, the one defender, I already have Alex McCarthy. He's probably one of the best keepers at that price. And then Shea Adams is definitely a 6 million striker that you've got to consider. He's one of the top scorers in that price range. It's like him, Ollie Watkins, Bamford. And if you've got the same template as me with a absolutely stacked midfield, you have to have these 6 million and below strikers. So he is one that you have to get out of those because he's one of the best ones.
I think they're a very good team, and we'll find out more about them on Wednesday. We don't have to wait that long. We'll watch them firsthand. Let's get into the game week 13 fixtures. I'll start with you, Josh. We have Wolves against Chelsea, City against West Brom on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we have Arsenal against Southampton, Leicester against Everton, Leeds against Newcastle, Liverpool against Tottenham, Fulham against Brighton, West Ham against Crystal Palace, and finally on Thursday, Villa against Burnley, Sheffield United against Manchester United. Which fixture are you looking forward to watching, and which fixture are you looking forward to watching as an FPL manager?
Yeah, so the main one for me as a United fan, I'll always be looking forward to watching their game against Sheffield United. I think there could be a few goals in that for both teams, not just United as well. I think United will probably their away form is ridiculous. Like, it's so much better than their home form. Their home form lets them down massively. For me, I'm gonna love watching Liverpool Tottenham. That game's going to be just electric. I'm going to be so excited to see how Klopp, if he can break down Mourinho. No one's really managed to do it yet this season, especially the top six sides. So that's going to be really interesting, especially with Liverpool at the minute. They don't look great, not as good as they have been anyway. So that's really good to watch. Just I don't really own anyone, only Son out of that game, so I can watch that pretty happily. But yeah, for me, that game's probably the best.
I probably agree. Hi, Jake Jones in the chat, and hi, Sargon. Ben, you're the next one. Which fixtures are you looking forward to most as an FPL manager and as a fan?
As a FPL manager, I'm not really looking forward to the City one. I think De Bruyne could haul massively, and players that I don't have in that City team could haul. And it's just whether Mahrez starts or not. I'm still unsure whether Mahrez will start. I know he played 60 odd minutes in the last game week, but obviously they've got really congested fixtures coming up and a couple of difficult ones as well. So I don't know whether he's going to be rested or not against West Brom. I'm hoping he's not. But the games I'm looking forward to, Leicester Everton's going to be a good game, I think. Leicester looked cracking in their last game, and Everton off the back of a really good win against Chelsea. So it'll be interesting to see how those two really fight out, because that could be a big game in terms of who gets those Europa League spots. Liverpool Spurs, the standout for me. It's going to be a great game to watch from both a neutral fan perspective and from FPL, because I've got 3 players in that game. So I'm hoping for some goals, but I'm expecting maybe one or 2 goals in that game, and maybe 1 or 2 returns from the players that I do own. I think the United game as well, Sheffield United against Man United, that'll be a good game to watch. Sheffield United don't look great going forwards, and Man United, they're good away from home.
Yeah, I agree. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, who are we captaining? Josh, we'll start with you. This is very important. This is a very important choice. If you fail again this week, if you had a terrible week last week, you're going to go to like 3 million. If you get the captaincy choice correct, you could be back like in the top 500 or something. So who are we captaining this week, Josh?
Yeah, it's a massive week, because the 2 top captain picks aren't that high owned. I mean, Bruno is quite high owned, 40%, but De Bruyne only around 20-25%. Both of them have potential of scoring maybe 40, even 50 points. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not. I don't know if there's anyone else other than Bruno and De Bruyne for me personally, but I think they're both fantastic options. But I will be going probably for Bruno. I'm just going to sit on the fence a bit and take the points as they come, because his away form is fantastic.
Ben?
It's got to be Bruno Fernandes for me. Mahrez is I'm not confident enough that he'll start, so I can't go with him. Obviously, it'd be a bonus if he does and get some points for me. But Bruno Fernandes has to be the one for me. I think it's the obvious choice for most FPL managers. And I don't want to complicate things. I don't want to think outside the box, because when you do, you always get caught out. And I'll just go for the big Bruno and hope he gets a big return.
Awesome. Josh, differential for the week for those fixtures?
Differential, that's going to be interesting. I usually target a team that's probably the worst defensively in terms of differentials, because obviously that's the easiest way to get points. I've seen a tweet come out from Fantasy Football Fix. West Brom's conceded 66 shots in the box in the last 5 or 6 game weeks, which is absolutely mental. So I think a differential could be whoever really starts in the attack for Man City. I know I had Jesus a couple of weeks ago against Fulham, but he didn't get a shot away. But I might pick him again. I think he's got to score sometime soon, and I think he'll probably start. And I don't think Aguero's ready just yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back out of the blue. That's how Pep Roulette works. So yeah, pretty much any Man City attacker, but for me, I'd choose Jesus.
Ben?
I'm going to go for Jared Bowen of West Ham United. 5% owned there or thereabouts, playing Crystal Palace at home, which by no means is an easy fixture. But I think their talisman Bowen, he's been good this season. He got 5 points in the last game week. He's got around about 60 points, I want to say, this year. And he does look quite good. He looks like he's ready to step up and be West Ham's main man. And I think he can grab a goal or so in this game against Crystal Palace. I think it's going to be an entertaining one.
Okay, Josh, which game will have the most goals between those 10 games?
It's got to be City, West Brom. I don't really see any others in there causing too many issues in terms of goals. If City don't win 3 or 4, you've really got to look at the team and be like, how? Because West Brom are looking so bad defensively. They're not too bad going forward, but defensively, it's just like 66 shots in the box. I think it was like 16 more than any other team. Leeds coming in second with 50. So, yeah, any of those teams you can see the high amount of chances, especially if they're playing someone quite efficient. Like Jamie Vardy's a perfect player to choose in those sort of games. He gets I think against Brighton, he had like 11 touches, but the guy had 2 assists and a goal. Like, that's just what you want. I don't care how many times he touches the ball, he'll still get returns, and that's exactly the player you need in these types of games.
And which team will definitely keep a clean sheet?
Sorry. Was that for me?
No, that's for Josh first.
Oh, it's for me. Sorry, I thought you said Ben. Definitely keep a clean sheet. I think you're gonna hate to hear it, to be honest, but I think Southampton, like Arsenal, I don't know what they're doing, man. Like, if you can't score against Burnley, I think you're gonna struggle to score against Southampton. Burnley didn't look great, still didn't score against them. So I'm sorry to every Arsenal fan watching. Aubameyang's fuming with me, but yeah, it's going to be Southampton's keep clean sheet.
Okay, and Ben, which team will definitely keep a clean sheet, and which game will have the most goals?
Aston Villa at home to Burnley is a pretty good shout for a clean sheet. I mean, Burnley don't score many goals at the best of times, and Aston Villa have looked quite defensively solid this season. I'm hoping they can pick it up again to how they were 3 or 4 weeks ago, where they were really looking quite dangerous. And yeah, I think that'll be a good shout for a clean sheet. And in terms of the game where I think it's going to be the most goals, you know what? I'm going to hope for Manchester United's game. I'm going to hope that Bruno produces a masterclass and we see a few goals from there, because that'll really help me get up to almost top 500k if he gets a good return.
Okay, 3 players that will score this week.
3 players that will score this week. Bruno Fernandes. I'm going to go with Ollie Watkins. And I'm going to go for a Shea Adams goal.
Okay, Josh, your 3.
Yeah, I'm going to go start with Son. I can see him scoring against Liverpool. Obviously, still a bit of a makeshift defence. I'm not sure. I think they do have Alisson back now, but even still, Son and Kane on the counter-attack is prime Jose Mourinho ball. Yeah. I think Rashford could return for United. I know we're saying a lot about Bruno, but I think Rashford averages 7.5 points per game on away games this season. So it shows that not only Bruno plays well away, the rest of those United boys do too. So I'll go Rashford, and I will go Jamie Vardy, because he's keeps ticking along, and he obviously got that quite big haul against Brighton. Hopefully he can do the same against Everton.
Yeah, I think he could. I think he could score this week. Obviously, it's not going to be a high-scoring game, but I think both him and DCL will score. So that's game week 13. Yeah, quickly to game week 14. The games are very, very fast. Like, games are many, as Ben said earlier. So game week 14 fixtures, I'll have them scrolling down the bottom again. So Crystal Palace, Liverpool. By the way, London teams now, they can't have fans anymore. So the likes of Palace and Fulham won't have fans anymore. We could see they made a difference the other day. So only Arsenal didn't make a difference with fans or without fans. So back to usual for the likes of Crystal Palace. We have, the fixtures will be scrolling down the bottom. I'll start with you, Ben. Which one are you looking forward to most watching? And
I'm looking forward to watching the Spurs Leicester game, seeing how both of them line up against each other. I could see a Leicester back 5 and Spurs really trying to get out of them, and Leicester trying to get on the counter. I think it's going to be really intriguing to watch. I think Southampton City, Ralph Hasenhüttl's really got Southampton drilled quite well, and it'd be interesting to see how Guardiola breaks that down. And from an FPL standpoint, also very interesting. I'll probably end up benching at least one of my Southampton players for that game, because City, they're always going to have that threat of scoring, even if they haven't looked as dangerous as they have done in recent seasons. And I think the Man United Leeds one's going to be a good game. Leeds is going to basically be their cup final, let's be honest. They've wanted this game at Old Trafford for about 30 years. So I think it's going to be a really good game, that one.
Josh?
Yeah, I have to agree with the Man United Leeds game. As a United fan, it's going to be a huge game. I could definitely see Bruno being a great captaincy option. Obviously not away from home, but still, Leeds concede a lot of chances. Like I said, second most shots in the box in the last 5 or 6 game weeks, 50 shots. That's a lot of shots to give away, especially even against the likes of Man United attack, who's not been the most prolific this season, but they'll still bag them if they get the chance. I think the Chelsea-West Ham one is a good one to look at if you've got Chelsea attacking assets. Timo Werner, if you still have him. I personally have Olivier Giroud. Whether he plays or not is a big question, but that's the risk I took. And then obviously maybe like Brighton, Sheffield United. I know we've spoken about this before. Sheffield United, very poor. They were in that category as well for some of the most shots conceded. And they just can't keep a clean sheet yet this whole season. We're on game week 13 and 14, and they still haven't kept a clean sheet. It is terrible. I know a lot of people have Aaron Ramsdale. They must be kicking themselves not being able to get any points out of him.
Yeah, and let's go to the captain picks straight away. Ben, I'll start with you. Game week 14 captain picks. Any different from game week 13?
It's probably going to be Mo Salah, I imagine, away at Crystal Palace. I know I know I've said before, don't back the early kickoff for your captain because it's going to end in tears, but it's the best game out of the weekend, to be honest, in terms of captaincy picks. All the big teams are playing relatively difficult fixtures. You look at Liverpool, Crystal Palace away, that's difficult. City away at Southampton, another difficult fixture. Spurs at home to Leicester, difficult. United at home to Leeds, that's not going to be an easy fixture for United to get through. So I think Salah's probably the best pick in terms of fixtures out of a bad bunch of fixtures for all the higher owned players who are going to be in the frame to being captain. So I'm going to say Salah because it's the nicest fixture really out of all of them.
Do you think Salah will start against Tottenham and again against Crystal Palace on Saturday?
Yeah, he probably will because Jota's injured. So Klopp probably doesn't have a choice at this point.
Josh, is Salah still a good option because I see him getting subbed like nearly every day?
Yeah, it's obviously because he had COVID, so his match fitness obviously not going to be great after having 2 weeks off. But I think he's getting back into the swing of things now. You saw him last week play the Champions League, then play the league game. So I don't think you'll get a full 90, but even if you get 70 minutes of Salah, I think he's still a good captaincy option. He'll definitely do the damage like we saw against Fulham. And especially if Liverpool are struggling as well, Klopp's not taking off Mo Salah, not a chance. He's their best player without a doubt. Mane's not really shown up this season. Firmino's being Firmino. They obviously had the spark of Jota, but then he's gone out. So he's without a doubt their talisman. So for me, yeah, he's definitely a great pick, and everyone should have him. I personally don't, but I'm looking to get him.
Okay, so gem of the week for game week 14, Ben?
For game week 14, it's a difficult one because the fixtures aren't too great. I'm gonna go for I wanna go with Jared Bowen again, but I think that's a bit boring, to be honest. So you know what? I'm just looking through the fixtures again, and I'm gonna say we're gonna go for. Oh, yeah, it's difficult. I think Ollie Watkins away at West Brom's going to be a good one to go for. If Villa can string together a couple of good performances, then he could be great cover for Jack Grealish, really, if you don't want to spend the money on him. Yeah, Watkins is going to be my choice for the gem of the week in game week 14.
Josh?
I'm going to go a bit outside the box, low priced, low owned. Ademola Lookman, he's got Newcastle away. I think I can just see them counter-attacking and scoring, especially at St James's Park. I can just envision it in my head. So, I think he's a great option. If I needed a 5 million midfielder, I'd definitely go for him over Souček. He's almost playing up front for Fulham now, and they're playing quite nice counter-attacking football, like with a back five. So, yeah, Adamola Lookman.
Ben, same set of questions as for Game Week 13. Which game will have the most goals?
The game with the most goals. You know what? We're going to be hopeful for my captain pick again. We're going to go Crystal Palace against Liverpool. Let's hope that they can learn from that Fulham game where they struggled to break them down and really try and get at this team. They've got something to prove now in these away days in London. So I think they could bounce back and score a few goals here.
Clean sheet? Definite clean sheet?
Definite clean sheet. Burnley and Wolves, I think it's going to be a 0-0.
Both teams, okay. And which players will definitely score? 3 players?
We're going to go for Mo Salah. We'll go for Dominic Calvert-Lewin against Arsenal. And we'll go for Ollie Watkins of Aston Villa.
Josh, game with the most goals?
Game with the most goals for me, Southampton City. I can see that being a bit of a goal fest. Both of them don't really like defending. It's all about scoring more than the other team. So I can see that maybe being a 3-2, something like that.
Yeah. So the 3 players?
In terms of 3 players, it's going to be interesting. I don't see Liverpool playing too well against Palace away. They never really have. I can always see them struggling away to Palace, like when they were trying to win the league with Suarez and Gerrard. I'm going to go Bruno Fernandes. I can see a penalty being given in that game. I'm going to go Jack Grealish, and I'm going to go Timo Werner at home to West Ham. I think he'll get a goal in that game as well. Looks like a nice little London derby, that.
That is Bruno Fernandes. Every time he hears the word penalty, it just excites him. Penalty. So
It excites me too.
I can tell. So the final part, I'm going to test you guys too. Okay, not really test. No, don't get too scared. I'm going to do something new. So just predictions so that I can take a look at them on Friday morning. So Ben, I'll start with you. Wolves against Chelsea score prediction.
I'm going to go for a 1-0 to Chelsea.
Josh?
3-0 Chelsea.
City West Brom, Ben?
4-0 to City.
Josh?
I'm going to go 5-1. I think they'll concede. I'm not going to lie.
Ben, Arsenal Southampton.
2-0 Southampton.
Why do I even bother asking? Josh?
I'm sorry, Ken. I'm going to go 1-0 Southampton.
Wow, still no goals. Wow. Then Leicester against Everton.
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm going to go for a 1-0 draw.
Josh?
It is very hard. Although Everton have a lot of injuries, they've played so well against Chelsea. I'm going to go 2-2. I just want goals this week. Give me some goals. Amazon Prime. It's got to be some goals on there.
Ben, Leeds against Newcastle.
2-0 Leeds.
Awesome. For the next 5 fixtures, let's start with Josh. Okay, no, I have not asked Josh yet. Leeds, Newcastle.
I'll go 2-1 Newcastle, I think.
Then Liverpool, Tottenham.
Good question. I'm going to go 1-0 Spurs.
1-0 Spurs. Ben, Liverpool, Tottenham.
1-0 Liverpool.
1-0 Liverpool. Oh, that would be an interesting one. Josh, Fulham, Brighton, you've really bigged up the Fulham players' score.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I quite like what Scott Parker's doing down there, to be honest. So I'm going to go. I don't think they'll score a lot. I think they'll just edge it, especially with Graham Potter playing quite attacking football. I think they'll go 1-0. 1-0 winners Fulham at home.
1-0 winners, okay. How about you, Ben?
I'm gonna go 2-1 to Fulham.
Okay, Josh, that's next fixture.
West Ham, Palace. I'm going to say a 1-1 draw.
1-1 draw. I can see something like that, Ben.
I'm going to go 2-1 West Ham.
The last two.
No
Josh,
draws in Ben's game week this week.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Villa, Burnley. It's tough because Burnley looked terrible. I don't know how Arsenal didn't even get anything against Burnley. I'm going to go 0-0. I think Aston Villa are going to struggle again. And obviously Burnley don't like to concede really, so 0-0.
Ben, do you agree? Boring draw?
I'll go 2-0 to Villa.
Okay, and Josh, Sheffield, Manchester United, how will your team do this week?
I'm going to say 3-2 Man United. I can see Sheffield United just somehow causing us problems, even though they haven't done it to anyone this season.
Yeah.
It's very Man United.
Wow. Sheffield scoring goals. Ben, do you agree Sheffield scoring goals?
Yeah, I think it's going to be 3-1 to United. That's what I'm going for.
Okay, so I'll take a look at that on Friday morning. Yeah, you guys will be taking a look at what was it again? Did I pick Pepe and all that? So by the way, guys, click in the link on the link in the description to go over to their channel and watch the preview we did on that channel. So let's see what we'll be up to on Friday morning and the results. So thank you guys for coming on again. I really appreciate it.
No, thanks for having us, Glenn. Appreciate it.
No problem, man. So those are the predictions from Ben and Josh and Game Week 13, Game Week 14 preview. Anyone who watches this, all the best for the two game weeks, really, really crucial part of the season. A lot of people will be forgetting the deadlines. A lot of people will be having injuries in their teams and suspensions. Like me, the likes of Bellerin suspended already. So it's an opportunity for you to close the gap if you're not doing very well in your mini league. Thank you for watching. Keep staying safe, and I'll catch up with you guys later.